Temple of Divine. I am your guide, High Priestess Makeda, and I'm here to help you with your journey to the divine. How? With sacred sexuality, and other topics that no one wants to talk about. But we're going to talk about them here. Why? Because it's important for you. Again, you're watching Temple of Divine, live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and other top social media platforms on WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. Okay. So, what I want to do, this is a pre launch episode. So, we're launching officially in August with Sex Appreciation Month. So, get excited. But for the next couple episodes, we're just going to set some framework because on topics like sexuality and other topics that no one wants to talk about, we need to kind of set the stage a little bit. So we're going to set the stage for the show, kind of how it's going to flow. Then we're going to talk about some sex history and why sex and spirituality are, in fact, required to be together for your advancement. And then we're going to talk about a couple other things of interest. And at the end, the last 15 or so minutes, call in to ask me anything. And we're going to show the calling number on the screen, and then you can call in and ask any question, ask me anything. So, first, let's start with the format. So, we're going to have four segments for the show. The first segment and the second segment are reserved for topics of discussion. So, today, we're going to start with kind of how we got to Temple of Divine and how this came about. The second segment, we're going to talk about spirituality and sexuality. The third segment we're going to reserve for open box, but at that time we'll kind of walk through what an open box segment is and why you definitely want to have one. And then finally, again, the questions and answers. So with that, let's talk about why we're here. So um, initially, when High Priestess Makeda began this journey of helping to raise awareness and spiritual awareness with the awakening, my first thought was, let's just talk about spiritual awakening. There'll be people out there who will want to know what an awakening is about, and they'll tune in and they'll want to know more. But you know what I found out? The people that really are interested in spiritual awakening, they're already on the path. They know what's going on with it, and so they're going to find, they'll be guided by their guides, and they'll find the support that they need for a spiritual awakening. But what about the other people? The religious people, I'm not too concerned about them, because if you're kind of stuck in that mode, then you'll be there and there'll be nothing that I can say to help. But the people who are the wanderers, the ones who have questions that haven't quite been answered from a spiritual perspective, that's who this show is for. Because we're going to talk about the things that no one wants to talk about. We're going to talk about sex. Why? Because it's important. It's a natural part of life that we have demonized and that we've made it very ugly and very nasty, and we've done all those things about it. But the reality is, it is the way for you, the quickest way and the most, how should I say, universal way to make an impact. So for me, approaching that topic of sexuality is a natural direction. Now, I didn't really want to talk about that, to be honest. I mean, I've newly discovered the importance of it, in the sense of now I know it's something I have to share, but I don't want to go out there because I know you religious people are going to just, you're not going to like it. But what I realize is that if I want to have an impact and if I want to help people and I want as many people to be awakened during this time when the planet is awakening, I have to use a language that everyone understands. And guess what? Sexuality is a language that everyone understands. And even the people who pretend like they don't understand it, they understand. And what I found, it's almost like you got to look at it this way. It's like a parallel. You ever hear, if you want to woo woo like me, maybe if you're not, you hear about parallel realities, and you watch movies like The Matrix or whatever, and you see these different dynamics, but it's kind of like that. It's like there's this layer of all the people, and, everyone, knows the lingo, so especially if you're in corporate America. It's like, hey, how are you? Oh, I'm good. How are you? How are things going? How was your weekend? Oh, yeah, it's great. I went up north, we went and saw a few things. The kids now, oh, that's fantastic. Okay? So you got that layer of people. And then, but when that layer of people go home, then it's like maybe they're not even talking to their spouse. Maybe they're yelling at their kids. There's a dynamic of life that's personal that you don't really know about. You don't get to see. Well, the same, it's another layer that's just like that with sexuality. There are questions and things that happen with us that we want to explore, that we want to talk about, but there's really no one to talk about because, from a societal perspective, we've kind of siloed that into this category of not good, of nasty, of um, something that should be taboo. And you know what? That's simply not true. So, with Temple of Divine, the goal or the mission is to set you free so that you can be freaky if you want to and not feel guilty about it. Because, okay, let's go one area I think that I need to cover to kind of set the stage also is consciousness, because then you'll see how vitally important it is that we release some of these sexual beliefs and things that are holding us back. Because when you look at map of consciousness, and the map of consciousness is a thing, Dr. David Hawkins actually went and mapped by frequencies of different emotions. And so there's a ladder of emotions. So there's at the bottom of the ladder is fear, guilt, and shame. At the very bottom, the lowest vibrating emotions are fear, guilt, and shame, all the way up into enlightenment. Okay? So if you've got hangups, if you've got sexual hangups, then guess what? You're in one of those three states of emotion as it relates to your sexuality. You're either in fear about it because for whatever reason, I don't know, I never had fear about it, so I can't talk to that one. You either have fear about it, you have shame about it, like maybe you want to participate in self-pleasuring, but somebody told you that masturbation is wrong and you shouldn't do that, you're gonna go blind, whatever your parents told you, right? So you got shame, and then you may have guilt because there's a ton of people that are just like, you know what, I don't care, I'm about to do this, I don't care what people gonna say, I'm just not gonna tell them, but I'm about to get this over here, right? So there's people like that, but even though they're doing it, then guess what? There's guilt associated with it. So here we are in this, as spiritual beings, in this kind of area where the very thing that we have held as taboo and have all these beliefs about is the very thing that, were we to get rid of those beliefs, were we to not feel the shame and the fear and the guilt, we can then expand our minds and our spirituality to higher heights. And that's what we want, right? Maybe not everybody. Everybody doesn't want to be spiritual, but there are those who do. And for those who do, speaking from my own experience, you want to do the right thing. You want to always be making sure that you're doing right by God and all these things. You want to be upright and you want to be, loving and all these things that your minister or whoever's told you should do. And even though you're trying so hard to do all those things, it's just not working for you. You're not happy. You're depressed. You're alone. You are wondering why all those people over there are having so much success and so much fun, and you're not. You're like, well, I want to go over there. I want to wear that. I want to, hey. But you feel guilt because you feel like you're somehow, society has made it feel like it's like a sin against God to be physically happy, to really enjoy the vessel that you're in. And when you think about it, it doesn't even really make that much sense. Because the vessel that you're in is what holds your spirit. You should enjoy. And why would you have all these senses and nerve endings and everything if you weren't supposed to enjoy them, okay? All right, so I digress. I went to another place, okay? So anyway, come back, Makeda, come back. Okay, so that's kind of like the framework and why this show has come into existence and why this show is important for you. So I hope that you'll tune in every week at 2 p.m. on Friday and begin the journey to kind of let yourself free, to be okay with some things. And so what we're going to do with Sexual Appreciation Month is we're going to talk about those topics that no one wants to talk about. We're going to talk about the areas where people have hangups. We're going to talk about we're going to talk about things that are way woo-woo, like phallus worship and bestiality and incest and things like that, because guess what? You know what? They didn't just start in your century. These are things that have been happening for centuries and centuries. And So it's best that we talk about things. It's best that we understand things instead of just kind of like, oh no, I don't want to talk about it. Oh no, I don't want to see about it. Oh no, that's taboo. The only thing that's taboo is you allowing yourself not to expand and grow. Because everything that comes from God is supposed to expand and grow. So if you're not expanding and growing in every area of your life, when I wasn't expanding and growing, I was stuck. If you're stuck, it means this probably an area that you need to expand and grow in. And I bet it has something to do with sex. Just go get your freak on and then you'll be okay. Okay, no. Okay. I didn't say that. Just say that. See, I got different. Anyway, so the other thing I want to address before I get too far into this as kind of an introductory statement is this. Hold on a second. I have been asked, and this was my fear. My fear in approaching this subject of spiritual awakening was that I would offend religious people because I have a religious background. I have religious family. I have been a religious person, Bible thumping, verse quoting, religious person before I understood the subset of religion to spirituality. So I've been that woman. I was that girl. I was that person. And so I was just like, oh my gosh, no, I'm not going there. I'm not going to be the one. They'll figure it out somehow. I'm not, it's not me. I just, never mind. I'm just going to go have my fun and then you guys figure it out. But the one thing that I have to address, and I'm going to address it now, and then if you have questions, you can ask questions at the end. And that is about Jesus. And Crystal, how can you have these views that are so different? The lady asked me today, well, do you believe in Jesus? And I was like, well, yeah, why wouldn't I? And then it didn't really dawn on me at the time, in that moment of what she was getting at. But what I had shared with her is that I was doing a show on spirituality and sexuality. And so when I put two and two together, I was like, oh, okay, I got you. You think that if someone is talking about sexuality in the context of spirituality, you must be like one of those pagan people who really don't believe in Jesus. But let me ask you a question. What does it mean to when you say you believe in Jesus? I believe. Why? Because I read something or I saw something or I experienced something. But here's the thing. Jesus is Christ consciousness. And do I believe that Jesus came here and walked the earth? Yes. Do I believe that he died on the cross? Yes. I think reasonable historical reference for that. Do I believe that he died for the sins of the world? Yes. Why? Because I believe that he needed to show you how to get free. And being in obedience to his Father, he got on the cross and he died. Why? Because otherwise he wasn't going to get it. So yes, I do believe that. Do I consider myself a Christian? I consider myself a spiritual divine being who has a connection to Christ consciousness. So for whatever you take that to be worth, please do. But I just wanted to clear that up front because I know the question is coming. And the thing that I want to encourage everyone who's kind of struggling with, okay, well, yeah, I'm a Christian, but because I had a blog before. And one of the questions I got more than anything else was, how can you handle spirituality and Christianity? This is a big question for people. And I think the hang up is that we mistake Christianity for religion. Because if you really read the Bible, like really read it, you will see that Jesus never said you shouldn't have sex either. I don't even think, did he even talk about it? But the point is that we put things in containers and we have beliefs that are given to us by other people. And so we use those beliefs and we kind of channel our lives through those beliefs when those aren't really the only ones that exist. So my goal here with Temple of Divine is to help you, not to convince you of one viewpoint or another. It's never the intent here. It's not to convert you. It's not to demonize one way of thought or against another. The only purpose for this show, look at my eye, The only purpose for this show is to help you to maneuver through some of the things that people have and beliefs that you may have that have been established over the history of time, and come to your own decision about what you believe about it or not. We're going to talk about the history of sex and religion. We're going to talk about, what used to happen in the old days before King James got a hold of everything, right? And then you can decide for yourself. You might be like, girl, you crazy. I'm over here. I'm about to keep doing what I'm doing. And I don't know what you're talking about. But I'd rather be over here and be dissatisfied than to be over here with you because I think you're going to hell. That's fine. That's completely fine. If that's your viewpoint, it's completely okay. But remember that the choice should be yours. And my only desire is that you will make the choice for you and not allow yourself to be swayed or to be convinced that your viewpoints are the only one, that your viewpoints have to come from outside of you. When we talk about divinity, we want your viewpoint to come from inside of you, because you can connect to source yourself and come up with your own viewpoints. So that is the scoop on that. So that's the first kind of segment that I wanted to go through, just to set the tone for the show. Let me just check and make sure that I've covered everything I want to cover for that. So, right. I think I got it all. So, just to let you know, you are watching Temple of Divine, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and other top social media platforms. And you're watching WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. How cool is that? To be able to support a culture of openness and communication, and just the open communication and dialogue. But that's what you get here, right here on WJZZ Cool TV. And with your High Priestess Makeda, that's what you get from me. So, and keep in mind that we'll be here every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern in your time zone, where we can continue to explore these topics that you may have questions about. And do call in, do like, do comment, do share, do turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Because I'm going to tell you right now. Okay, let me just tell you. Can I just tell you right now? I'm going to tell you right now that you are probably not going to hear anyone talking about what we talk about here. And you might not support it. You might have an opinion about it. And you know what? If you do, I encourage you to call in and let's talk about it. Because the important thing is the dialogue. The important thing is the conversation. The important thing is that sides of the story and that dialogue begin to move, right? And so as those things move, some people are going to change their minds. Some people are not. Some people are going to transition. Some people are going to have a different point of view. And no matter what happens, as long as there's movement, then there will be progress. And when there's progress, we'll eventually get to the point where we need to be in terms of the awakening and being aware of things. So do call in, do share, do talk, do have that conversation, and don't miss out. I'm just telling you right now. Let me just tell you right now that if you miss out, you're going to be mad at yourself. You're like, oh, how did I miss that episode? I wanted to call in because you know what? I had an opinion about that and I didn't agree. And well, it's on you, boo. You got to be here at 2 o'clock on Fridays. Okay, that's what I'll be. All right, so next thing my next segment is to talk about the history of sexuality and spirituality. Now, I got to tell you, okay, I didn't really make this connection right away. But okay, I'm gonna tell you this one thing before we get into this psychology today. Just in case you think, that it's just me and I'm just making up some stuff so I can get my groove on. I'm just letting you know right now, even psychology today is in agreement with this concept. But before I go there, oh shoot, I forgot what I was gonna say. I was gonna share how. Okay, I'm gonna tell you an experience I had with meditation, and then I'm gonna get into this article. Maybe I should wait. Maybe I should. No, I don't care. So, When I made the connection between spirituality and sexuality, it was really by accident because I had attended a the 3 day total Sadhguru um 3 day seminar, 3 day event, and I was the only I wasn't the only brown skinned person there, but I was the only African American there, right? And so it was great. I mean, we meditated. It was painful, like being in those positions. I was just like, oh, okay, I don't think I'm gonna survive, right? But um, coming out of that experience, we were to do what's called, I think it's called a mandala, of 90 days of twice a day meditation, um, doing the practice that we were doing. And so, which is the Mahamudra Kriya, right? I think that's, I don't know. So we did that. So I started doing that at home twice a day, every day. I was doing a meditation. And I really didn't, up until that point, I thought, in my mind, I was like, the only time that I will have a sexual sensation or a sexual feeling would be if you were like having sex, right? And so I remember vividly. I had my little meditation station. I had my pillows, and I was sitting there. I was in cross-legged position. I was going through the practice, and I literally, right there in my meditation, had an orgasm, and it was no people there. And I wasn't thinking, it was not a sexual thing at all. It wasn't, the meditation wasn't that way. But my point is that you, there's connections between you and spirituality that you have not explored and that you won't be able to explore until you get rid of the hang up. And so that's why, Sexual Appreciation Month is so important. It's not just something to kind of shed light on a dirty subject. It's really to help you to release those beliefs so you can embrace the benefits of your sexuality and the benefits that God intended for you to have with your sexuality. You could thank me later. Okay, so let's talk about sex and spirituality. So I'm going to quote you. This is from Psychology Today. This is Larry Kilford. Larry Kilford is the author for this. And so I'm just going to read you a quote. I want you to pay attention. Lean on in. If you're driving, pay attention. If you're just watching, stop what you're doing, because I know you're probably doing something at the same time. Okay, so I'm going to read this to you. It says, and I quote, it's in quotes, the act of sexual love should by its very nature be joyous, unconstrained, alive, leisurely, inventive, and full of special delight, which the lovers have learned by experience to create for one another. Okay, now, guess who wrote that? Guess who that quote was from? Can you even think about it? You think it was some sexologist, or it was some kind of, weirdo hippie person? Who do you think wrote that? Do do do. I need to do like my kids do. They put Jeopardy. They go to YouTube and they find the Jeopardy music and they play it when they ask a question. They're waiting on the answer. I'm gonna tell you. Okay, you ready? This was a quote from I'm not sure I can pronounce this right, a Cistercian monk and Roman Catholic priest by the name of Thomas Merton. This is from a priest. This is a monk, a priest person, okay? This is not some weirdo out in, sex land. This is not somebody that's, selling sexual toys. This is like really somebody who's saying, this is what sex should be about. But we lost it. We've lost it. Why? Because, we'll get into it more in later episodes, but there's so much negativity. Like when I was thinking about, kind of thinking about the idea of having a sexual appreciation month, I did what everybody does, everybody with an iPhone does. No, wait a minute. No, what everybody does when you want to find something out new, I Googled it. I was like, oh, okay, let me see who's having a sexual appreciation month. So I go into Google, I'm like, sexual. No, actually, okay, I was doing my thumb. I'm getting better with my thumbs. I used to be kind of a pecker, but oops, I'm better with my thumbs. So I Googled it. And so I Googled Sexual Appreciation Month. I'm thinking, surely they got Appreciation Month for everything else on the planet. Surely there's a Sexual Appreciation Month. And you know what I found? Nothing. Nada. Zilch. Zero. But what I did find was Sexual Abuse Month. Well, actually, in September is Sexual Health Month, which is a whole different topic. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I found Sexual Abuse Month. I found Sexual Awareness Month. I thought, oh, there's one thing. And then I dig deeper into it, and it was out sexual abuse, trauma. It's all about the painful parts of sex. It's all about the outcomes of having these warped sexual perspectives and beliefs. It's all around that stuff. There was nothing that was just like, hey, let's just appreciate sex because it's a gift. Nothing. So I thought, you know what? Okay, I'll do it. We're going to have Sexual Appreciation Month, and it's going to be in August. And then in September, we have Sexual Health Month. It's actually, I can't remember the organization that is sponsoring it. But Sexual Health Month, I thought for sure that was going to be kind of related to the good part of sex. And it was more about how to have, STDs and, all these kind of things. It wasn't about the actual essence of sex. Now, I found that really, really, I can't really describe how I felt about that, except that I was thinking to myself, sexual energy is the strongest energy that we possess. It is creation energy. Why in the world is there not more celebration of it? Why is it so downplayed, so depressed and suppressed? I mean, it's like, oh, that doesn't even make any sense. So we're going to talk about that in a subsequent episode. We're going to talk about how did these views develop? How did these hang-ups come about? Why do people feel the way they feel about something that is so natural? What happened? We're going to talk about that. But right now, I'm sharing this article information. I'm sharing this because I personally just found this very profound because of just the ignorance that we have around it. So this is the first pre-launch episode. Our second pre-launch episode is next Friday, where we're going to talk about definitions, okay? Because when you want to learn a topic, if you want to cover a subject, one of the things that you need to understand is the language, the lingo, the nomenclature of what is it that surrounds us. So what do these things really mean? So since different people have different viewpoints about different words, then I thought that it would be good to set some standard definitions based in fact versus other definitions. So next week, when you tune in at 2 o'clock on WJZZ Cool TV, we're going to talk about the definitions. For example, okay, so most people know what is fellatio, what is cuckolingus. You got ideas about it. When they sound like dirty words, you're like, ooh, did she say that? I thought this is temple of divine. I thought this is supposed to be spiritual. Yes, it is. And that is just a symptom of a hang up. When you say, even me, like I still have a little bit of a hesitation. I feel like a little bit of layer of just like, ooh, I said the word, when really I shouldn't. But I mean, I'm 57. Oh my gosh, I'm 57. So I got years of layers of beliefs and stuff that need to be kind of peeled off, like I'm sure, everyone else does. So I'm working through it. But I just even saying the words, I'm like, oh my gosh, did you say that? And I was talking with a friend, and I was asking them. I had asked a question. I said we were doing this month on sex and spirituality, and he was giving me a referral to people who are know about these subjects and for guests on the show, and he was like, "You said sex." Like it's kind of like an inside joke. It's like, who talks about that? So we're gonna talk about it right here, right? right here, you are watching. But you're like, where's right here? You're watching Temple of the Divine. For live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and other top social media platforms. You're watching WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. Make sure to like, comment, share, turn on notifications, and definitely share. Even if you share, look. Okay, so I just want to make sure you understand what I'm talking about when I say share. Okay, you don't have to share if you agree. You don't have to share if you disagree. Just share. You can be like, ooh, look at this. Check out this show on WJZZ. She talking about sex. What? Sex? Yeah, girl, honey, turn in. So it can be any kind of share. Okay, you can like it if you like one sentence. It's not that big of a deal. But do it, and turn on notifications. You don't want to miss. Look, even if it's just to see my smiling face. See, then just tune in because we're gonna talk about some stuff we want you to talk about. So, so now we kind of talked about. We had that little kind of sexual primer. Get ready. So now what I want to talk about is the open box segment. So this is kind of the way the show will go. So with first session, we had a topic. The second segment, we had a topic. And the third segment is a segment that is reserved for open box. And so, we also have commercials. And so you can have, if you have a business, you're an entrepreneur, maybe you're running for office or something, and you just really want to start some folks up, you can have a commercial on the show, right? And so this is the segment where we would do that. And so we actually have a couple of our own commercials for you, which I will let you know about. And then I'll go through those, and then we'll talk about what is involved in the open box segment. What can you expect? What would you like to participate? And then after that, we can be open for questions, or I can continue to talk to you about exciting topics that we're going to cover on Sexual Appreciation Month in August. So first is Jazz is back in Detroit. A lot of good things come out of Detroit, and jazz is one. Okay? So, WJZ Detroit Legacy Jazz Series is starting on July 29th. That's my baby boy's birthday, my firstborn's birthday. It's going to be every Thursday at the St. Regis Hotel. So now look, if you're local here in Detroit, you want to be there. Listen, High Priestess Makeda is going to be there. The Bible don't say you can't listen to jazz, right? Okay, so come on. Even if it did, you know what? It really wouldn't matter. And we'll talk about that in a later episode too. But definitely be there. It's sponsored by, ticket info. Ticket info, you want to go to eventbrite.com and WJZZ radio@gmail.com. WJZZradio@gmail.com. And this is sponsored by WJZZ Radio and Cool TV. Okay? So you don't want to miss that, right? You coming? Okay. Are you coming? You coming, right? Okay. Because I'm going to be looking for you. All right. So the second one is, this is tomorrow. Wait, is this tomorrow? Yes. Why art? Why art? This is going to be amazing. The Art Summit panel discussion and mixer is going to be at the Hannon Center in Midtown Detroit, and it's sponsored by Hannon Center and WJZZ Radio Cool TV. Now, why art? Why not art? This is going to be really great. You have to show up. If you're an artist, if you like art, you know artists, you want to be an artist, you need to be here because there's all aspects of art. And guess what? I will be there as well. So, with that, those are your two invitations. Now, in this segment, we actually have room for multiple commercials. So if you're a business owner and you have something that you want to display, so for example, eyelashes or whatever, like say you think, oh, you know what, Hi Priestess Makeda, I love what you wrote, what you're talking about, but girl, you need to have some work done. Go ahead, have a commercial, and I'll wear your stuff the whole time long, right? And you have a commercial on this on Temple of Divine. Now, the other thing is, if you have a business that is spiritual in nature, for example, a great episode would be if you were to have, say you have a crystal shop, and you do different things with crystals from a spiritual person. You know what I found out? Okay, wait. You know what I found out? They actually have, and they actually have crystal dildos. Oh my God! Did you say dildo? Oh my God! I said dildo. I really did say that word out here. Okay, I did. I said it. But um, we know from a spiritual perspective that crystals have a dynamic because your energy, the way it interacts with different substances, can produce different results in your life. So a great segment or a great show, because you can even sponsor a show, a great show would be someone who is very familiar with crystals and how they work and what different crystals, how they affect your energy. Those would be that would be an amazing topic. Other great topics would be if you are perhaps into adult toys, adult entertainment, being able to share with people in a positive environment the benefit of having sexual toys and adding them to your relationship. Okay. So say for example you're a person who owns that type of an organization or company. Come on out. We'll put a nice little spread of your toys here, and you can tell us exactly how they can help in an intimate relationship. And we can talk about it. And we can talk about it in a way that is okay, where you don't have to feel weird about it. It shouldn't be a weird thing. But the other thing, I'm trying to think of good segments for open box. Anything really. If you have certain types of fashion that you like. Okay. Here is High Priestess Makeda special request lingerie. Okay, that would be a great show. We could have a mini fashion show, and you could show the ladies out there and the men some appropriate wear or some things to kind of spice up things for them. So there's a whole realm of activities and things that you could bring to the table, whether either you're going to be a sponsorship for the whole show, or if you just want to be a commercial, or you want to have a banner ad that kind of splashes your name across when we're talking about different things, then definitely look. This is the place to do it. This is the place where there's no judgment. This is like the no judgment zone, okay? This is where you can come and show your work. Let me tell you a funny thing I noticed. I was out in LinkedIn the other day. And LinkedIn, if you're not familiar with it, it's like a social media for business people. And a lot of times people use it for like job searching and things like that. So I was out there the other day. I was like, you know what? I'm looking for sponsors for Sexual Appreciation Month, and I'm also looking for people to be on the show and sit with me and have a conversation about these topics. I promise not to blush. Okay, I might blush, but who cares? So I was searching it up, and I was like, oh, okay, let me see sex toys or sex adult entertainment. Do you know that and I don't have a premium membership. I had a premium membership, but it really wasn't. I mean, I really didn't get what I needed out of it. Every single person. I mean, and there were people there that came up in the search, but every single person, it just said LinkedIn member, LinkedIn member, LinkedIn member. They wouldn't put they had no names. There's no names. I couldn't even contact the people. So the shame is just rampant in society. The shame and the guilt and the fear. Oh, the fear. No, somebody might know that I sell sex toys. You know what I'm saying? So it was just ridiculous. So anyway, the open box segment, it would be kind of this area, and this is where we would take your we actually want to open a box, right? So take your box or your product or whatever it is. We're going to sit it here on the table. We're going to show it to people. We have multiple cameras in the room, so we'll show the box, and we'll actually, if you want, you could really surprise and let me open the box, because I do have some facial expressions that just, I show everything on my face. So I might open your box and go, oh my, ooh, oh wow, what is this for? I mean, you know what I'm saying? We can have a lot of fun with it. So, but what we do is you put your box in the middle of the table, and we just have a gay old time, just going through and understanding about different things, and really just removing the shroud of shame and guilt and embarrassment and that surrounds the subject, and just have fun with it. And my hope is that when we do that, then people can relax, because people have been so uptight lately. With good reason, granted, really have, a pandemic every year. But one of the things about, and I'm digressing a little bit, but maybe we can have that as Okay, let's keep talking. Let's talk about that a little bit more. So anyway, the open box segment is the third segment on the Temple of Divine show. You can sponsor the entire show. You can sponsor a commercial. It's a 30-second commercial. You can sponsor a commercial, or you can even sponsor other things too. Just talk to me. Send an email to wjzzofficial@gmail.com and let's have a conversation about it. Okay? Because we could cover a lot of different situations that you may have to help you to grow your business. Okay? And the more people that are open and aware, the more business there is for everyone. Maybe because you know what? Actually, I think a lot of people are kind of on the hush hush, but they're really doing it anyway. But anyway, I digress. So, so what I want to talk about in this last few minutes of the show is I want to talk about like I was like seriously about the impact of this shame, fear, guilt around sexuality in society, because I think that we don't really see the damage that's being done. I think that it sounds like it's like a really kind of, you know, flamboyant thing to talk about it. But let's talk about the impact that having fear, guilt, and shame about sex has on society. So the first thing is that last year, when we were in a pandemic, you would think this is a time when people were home together longer than they ever were before. In the past, you know, you go to work. You know, my routine when I was married was you go to work, you know, you get up in the morning, you have breakfast, the kids have to be dropped off at school, you have to go to work, you go into work, you work all day long, you eat through your lunch, you work in the afternoon, you come home, you pick up the kids, you go home, you cook dinner, then you have to do homework, and then you have bills to pay and things to do, and then it's time to go to bed, and you're too tired to even think about sex, right? But here, when 2020 happened, you have more people that are home together for extended periods of time. Kids got to take naps sometime. And we wound up with like an astronomical amount of divorce. And the question is, why is that? Because you would think that if you're home with the person that you love, that you want to be with, and you can work from home, so at least the commute time, even if you took the commute time, say you got an hour commute, then you got an hour for lunch, and then you got, you know, your water cooler time, say 3 hours. That's 3 hours out of your day you got back just because you were working from home, okay? 3 hours of your day you got back because you were working at home. Okay, let's be honest. Let's just do a use case scenario. We're going to do a case scenario, right? I used to be in corporate America. Let's do a case scenario. So you got 3 hours of available time when you could be getting busy, right? You could have been getting busy, but people weren't. I'm sure some people were, but a lot of people weren't, because I don't think the divorce rate would have been so high. I don't have the numbers. I'm gonna get the numbers for a later episode, but I think it would have been lower, right? Like why when we had time together with the people that we say we love, were we not taking advantage of that? And I think that is one problem, is because we, you know, we don't really know each other. We didn't really know each other because we, you know, work all day and we don't really have time together, right? You have just enough time to have a nice superficial date, maybe if you're lucky once a month or maybe once a week, but for the most part you don't. So you may have just discovered that you really didn't like the person you were married to, and well, I'm sorry about that. But you people that do love each other, that really care for each other, why didn't we take that time and just get to know each other and be more intimate with each other and spend more time with each other? I don't think it's because necessarily a fear, guilt, shame dynamic there, but I think that there's something there that only you can answer and only you can address that will cause you to not want to engage in an activity that's so beneficial to you. I think, and this is my opinion, how Priestess Makeda said, you should have sex. Yes, I think you should have. Because I think more people, if they were really to be intimate and have sex in the right way and not have hang-ups about it, then they would have enjoyed that time and really been able to benefit from the time that they were at home together. And we didn't. Another way that I think that we have a lot of hangups is around the sexual activity that we participate in. So when we have Sex Appreciation Month, we're going to talk about a lot of different things. We're going to talk about sex toys. We're going to talk about different types of sex. And the thing that we want to know, or that we need to really connect with, is that what happens between two consenting adults, in the sense of them experiencing each other in a sexual way, it's really between them. And as long as it's okay between the two of them, then it doesn't matter. But here's where the problem with the beliefs comes in, is when you're not matched sexually. So, and even before you get to being matched sexually, do you even know what you like? Right? So we have this dynamic of people who don't know what they like. And I personally I know I'm gonna regret saying this, but I personally think that when you have marriage counseling, somehow there needs to be a way to understand the dynamic and the belief systems of the person you're marrying around sexuality. Because if you're not matched in the sense of of your attitude towards sex, your perceptions about sex, and if you're not matched in that area, then it's just going to cause problems later on. But no one ever talks about that. I remember going through my marriage counseling. We talked about money. We talked about child rearing. We talked about submissiveness, the role of the man and the woman, which, by the way, I agree with submissiveness for women, and gender roles alignment. I actually do support that. But we talked about everything but. Oh, no, wait, I take that back. We did talk about sex. More in the sense of do you or don't you? Or you need to do it, right? What is that scripture that says that you should not deny each other except for a period of time for fasting and prayer, right? We talked about that, all right? But we never talked about the dynamic. And I really, really believe that if you're going to do premarital counseling, then the premarital counseling needs to include the conversation about the dynamic and the attitudes and the views and the beliefs around sex. And you probably need to have some sex counseling before you get married. But anyway, I digress. So I hope that you have enjoyed this episode of Temple of Divine. This is the time where normally we'd be open for questions and answers. I apologize. I didn't have the number in front of me for you to call in. But definitely in the future, this is the Ask Me Anything segment. Okay? So that means just what it says. Ask me anything. So we're going to talk about some things that I know are going to raise questions. We're going to talk about some topics that I know are going to perhaps rub you the wrong way. We're going to talk about some things that perhaps might rub you the right way. Okay? So, and what I want to have here on Temple of Divine is a dynamic of dialogue and conversation, because it's in the conversations that we begin to reveal the truths and the viewpoints and the views, and we can learn from each other. But now, not arguing though. So when you call into Temple of Divine, well, I can't stop you from calling. You can call if you want to, but let me just tell you this. My perspective is an attitude of support, of learning, of mutual respect. Regardless of whether you agree or disagree, we can always respect each other. So even if you don't agree with me or what some other caller said or whatever's going on, even if you don't agree, we always have to be respectful. So, Priestess Makeda will cut you off if you're not respectful. And I may not answer your question. I probably will address it because I just don't like leaving things unaddressed. But just be mindful and be respectful of everyone when you call in. But literally, ask me anything. So that is what we are going to do with that segment. You can, if you call in, you have questions about any topic, whether it's the topic that we covered in that particular episode, if it's a previous topic that you had questions about, it's a topic we haven't talked about at all that you'd like to hear about, then definitely go ahead and actually, if you have a topic that you want to see covered in Sex Appreciation Month, I'm still in the planning stages of the roadmap for those shows, then send me an email at info@templeofdivine.org. That's info, info, at templeofdivine.org, and let me know. Say, hey, I want to talk about this. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about this topic. I want a demonstration of, I want a fellatio demonstration, like whatever it is. Let me know what questions you have. This is your opportunity to really start the dialogue. And it doesn't matter about age. It doesn't matter about gender. It doesn't matter about sexual orientation. It doesn't matter about any of that. The only thing that really matters to me is that you get free from the beliefs and the things that are binding you, that are causing you to stay in fear, guilt, and shame as it relates to sexuality. Now, we're probably going to talk about other topics. I mean, I'm sure we will, but it's just that sexuality has such an impact, has the potential to free so many people at once, that it's just a topic that makes sense to cover from a spiritual perspective. And so, even though there's tons of different topics we'll talk about, this is one that I think is really, really important. Now, we do have, we're going to talk a little bit about Bible. We can't talk about sexuality without talking about Bible, because the Bible is the source where a lot of the hangups are generated from. Not necessarily the Bible per se in a lot of cases. It's more based on the interpretation of what's contained in the Bible, and also kind of the lens through which the Bible was written, that has caused a lot of perceptions and disbelief and things like that, of that nature. So we will talk about that. But if you want to talk about it, here's what you have to do. You have to tune in. So you have been watching Temple of Divine, live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and other top social media platforms. We are on WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. And I am your High Priestess, Makeda, here to help you on the journey to discover, celebrate, and explore your divinity. So with that, I would let you know that one of the things that we're thinking about doing at the end, if I get enough feedback, you got to talk to me. What I would love to do at the end of Sex Appreciation Month is have a celebration, kind of a mixer, a mingle and tingle, where we can have some of the guests that are show, some of the vendors and the guests that have participated in Sex Appreciation Month right there, where you can meet them, and you have the ability to mingle with like-minded people who are free or on the path of becoming free with their sexuality. And so what I'd like to do is have a mixer, but I need to hear from you. I want to know, would you come to the mixer? Would you bring a friend? Are you okay with it? What did you think about what you heard today? Did you feel offended? Did you feel relieved? Are you curious? Go ahead and send feedback. You can email me at info@templeofdivine.org, and I will answer and respond to every single email that you send. So, any questions? I'll take any questions if anyone wants to call in. I think